the Director General of the Model Courts, Mr. Sohail Nasir, the directors of the Academy, the team of Mr. Sohail Nasir, who is working day and night to achieve the objective given to them, the very respectable journalists, and as Hayat Ali Shah Sahab said, my cheetahs. I remember that when we were launching this program, I was discussing with Shah Sahab and Mr. Sohail Nasir that I want dedicated, committed people to take this vision forward and to put it to practice. Occasion, I used this word. I said, "Mujhe cheetah chahiye." So, who pounce upon cases and they decide cases with passion. So I'm very, very lucky that there is no dearth of such tigers in our judiciary. We have found 116 in the first phase, and we have found 57 more in the second phase. And these phases will continue till the day when the entire judiciary in the country comprises of such passionate, dedicated law officers, judicial officers who want to deliver, and that is the passion in their life. I wanted to start with something which is not very pleasant. You see, unfortunately, from different directions, from different departments, from different segments in the society, these days, unfortunately, we are not receiving very good news. News is received which depresses us. We hear about the economy and we are told that either it is in the ICU or it has just come out of the ICU, but the news is depressing. Whoever is responsible, that's not the issue. The issue is that the situation is not very good. Then we take pride in our democracy, but when we switch on the television, we see the noise leader of the House as well as the leader of the opposition. They are not even being allowed to speak. It depresses us. Out of this depression, we want to look some other way. We change the channel. We look at the World Cup, Cricket World Cup. Unfortunately, again, the news is depressing. We look around. We see on the national and international front, we have problems in Afghanistan. There is a war looming as far as Iran is concerned. It all depresses us. That why this region? We have suffered enough. In all this depressing atmosphere, I am very happy to say that at least there is one sector in our society from where some good news is coming. And that good news is the realization on our part as the relevant organ of the state in charge of dispensation of justice. It is our constitutional responsibility, and in Article 37D of the Constitution, it is the responsibility of this organ, the judiciary, to provide inexpensive and expeditious justice. This is a gigantic task, but unfortunately for some time, this has been put on the back burner. Things were just drifting, they were just floating, and nothing was being done to rectify all the wrongs that all of us know about. When I analyzed the whole situation from my own perspective and on the basis of my experience as a lawyer and then as a judge, I realized that out of the two major sections, that is one the civil side, on the other hand is the criminal side, which is the side that I should attend first? And I realized that a person involved in a civil dispute is at least living with his own family, in his own house, in his own environment. He has problems going to the court for a long time, pursuing the matter, but still he is in the comfort of his own family and friends and atmosphere, surroundings, maybe his own house. But then, on the other side, in criminal cases, people are languishing in jails and for years and years at an end without any prospect of an early conclusion of trial. And nobody even bothers to consider what happens to the wives or the spouses and children of such convicts or such accused persons languishing in jails. Those wives or children, they have not committed any offense. The man might have committed any offense, or the prisoner might have committed any offense, and the society is very happy to keep him behind bars. But the spouse and the children have not committed any offense. But they, unfortunately, have to suffer more than the prisoner. Generally, crimes are committed by people with lesser means. They are not very well-to-do people. Generally, poverty sometimes drives them to commit crimes. And when the bread earner or breadwinner of the family is in jail, that spouse of that breadwinner has no source of income. She is just a housewife, maybe uneducated, illiterate, has no skills except cooking food and washing clothes and cleaning house. Has the society thought about that spouse? Maybe for 6 months, a year, or 2 years, the family supports her. What about those young children who have to go to school? They have to be attended to, they have to be coached, they have to be trained by the family as a family unit. But they are without a father. And for some time, yes, the family looks after them for maybe 6 months, a year, or 2 years. Thereafter, what happens to such people? Nobody has even thought about it. Women are driven to odd employments in other people's homes. And unfortunately, sometimes they are physically abused. They are driven to prostitution. They have to survive. Has the society discharged its burden of looking after those affected people? And those children, they have no money to go to school to pay fees. There's no father around to look after their activities. They are ultimately being driven to the same path of committing crimes and falling in bad company. So, keeping all this in view, I thought the first thrust of our effort to improve the system should be on the criminal side. That has more urgency in it. So, with the help of Mr. Shah and Mr. Sohail Nasir, we sat down and we came up with a plan how to deliver justice as quickly as possible, and that too at the trial level. We came up with the idea of model courts. With our combined experiences, we came up with a plan, and the plan was simple, that all possibilities of adjournment have to be eliminated. I was told by my late father, who had practiced law for more than 55 years, that in his days the trial of a murder case would take 3 days, and 3 days were fixed. There was no concept of an adjournment. The police investigating officer was there to produce all the witnesses on behalf of the state, and the judge had no other work except to hold that trial, and the trial was completed in 2 or 3 days. That was the norm. So, gradually, like all other norms, somehow we deviated from this norm as well. So we thought of different ways how adjournments are necessitated sometimes, why cases are postponed and delayed, and we tried to plug each and every aspect which could cause an adjournment in a court. I am not going to go into the details of all those steps, because in my first speech, while launching the first phase, I had dealt with those steps, how we have tried to attend. And God is very kind, and with the effort and hard work of my judicial officers, the results are absolutely unbelievable. Even I did not expect like what happens in the High Court or in the Supreme. It's a full-fledged trial, and 5,800 trials in 48 days. It's absolutely unbelievable. But this miracle has happened because of the dedication, commitment, not only of the judicial officers, but I must say that with the full cooperation of the legal fraternity as a whole, the lawyers, the health authorities, the police authorities, and the jail authorities, everybody has cooperated and things have worked out. So this was the first issue that I thought needs attention, and that we have attended to, and inshallah every month on the criminal side we will try to add one more judge to every district, so that within no time, within a few months, the entire districts will be model districts, and all the judicial courts, the courts will be model courts in the entire country, inshallah, within a few months. The second issue that I thought was critical to any criminal justice system, and that was truthfulness of evidence, truthfulness of testimonies. There cannot be any justice achieved unless there is truthful evidence. And unfortunately, in the year 1951, Lahore High Court noticed in a case, Justice Munir was the author of the judge. His Lordship noticed in a judgment that unfortunately in this part of the world, people tell lies, even on oath in a court of law. So he said we have two options. Either we keep on rejecting those testimonies and all the accused will be acquitted, or we somehow allow those witnesses to tell lies, and then the judge will be able to sift grain from the chaff and sift truth from that which is untrue. This all started in 1951 till the early 90s, when His Lordship Mr. Justice Muhammad Afzal Zullah, the erstwhile Chief Justice of Pakistan, he gave a judgment and said that in an Islamic society, this cannot be allowed. Islamic dispensation of justice is based upon truth. Anything which is false is perjury. And in this Islamic state of Pakistan, if this practice started in 1951 is examined on the scale, in the touchstone of Islam, then this cannot be allowed to continue. But His Lordship only raised this question, but allowed the activity to continue. Till the year 2019, when Almighty Allah helped me and my colleagues in the Supreme Court to come down very clearly that justice is to be dispensed on the basis of truth and truth alone, and if a witness perjures himself, if gives a false testimony, he is no sifting of grain from the truth. The whole testimony is to be rejected. This, in the legal parlance, as you must be knowing, is called falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. False in one respect, false in all respects. So we have already declared that in this country, where the Constitution itself says that nothing can be enacted against these injunctions of Islam, when the law of the land also makes perjury a criminal offense, so how can the judges or the courts allow the witnesses to depose falsely and then take upon themselves to sift grain from the chaff? No. The responsibility lies with the witnesses to tell the truth, and any witness who mixes truth with falsehood, his testimony will be rejected. So these were the two issues, delay and falsehood. So we have attacked both these sides with your support, that judiciary will not tolerate this. And we will take every step to eliminate both these causes which are unfortunately causing problems in the dispensation of justice in criminal cases. This idea of model courts was started in 2017 in the Lahore High Court. 4 districts were introduced. Mr. Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, the Honorable Chief Justice of that time, now His Lordship is our colleague in the Supreme Court. I gave this idea and His Lordship was very kind to accept that, and with the help of Mr. Sohail Nasir again, we launched this and successfully did this in 4 districts. It was then expanded to 7 districts, and then God Almighty gave me a chance here in this court, in the Supreme Court. We have launched it throughout the country. And inshallah, as you have been told, that 6 districts now have zero pendency of murder cases and narcotics cases. 10 districts will be added next month, so there will be 16 districts without any criminal case pertaining to murder and narcotics pending in the court. So we will expand this to other offenses. But this is the first step. There is a Chinese proverb that the longest journey starts with the first step. The longest journey starts with the first step. So we have taken those first, second, third, fifth, sixth are already on the journey with your support. And inshallah, we will not stop till we reach the destination, inshallah. The National Judicial Policymaking Committee, which comprises of the Chief Justice of Pakistan and all the Chief Justices of High Courts in the country, is meeting again on 24th of this month in 5 days' time. And it is on the agenda that now we are to move to the civil side as well. So civil model courts, family model courts, rent model courts, and magistrates model courts. We are launching simultaneously. So we are expanding in all directions of judicial sphere of activity, and civil side, which was being ignored. People used to come and say that civil side should also be attended to. And inshallah on 24th we shall decide to expand this project to civil side, family side, rent side, and the magistrates courts will also be covered by this. So this will inshallah be another very major step in the right direction. There are 2 other types of courts which we are going to establish, and they are gender-based violence courts and child courts. You must have heard of juvenile courts, but they are only about criminal activity involving a child. Gender-based violence is common not only in this country but throughout the world. It's a problem, and generally it is hushed up. It is not taken to courts, and if taken to courts, normally the weaker gender does not get a fair treatment because of the atmosphere in the courtroom. I was recently in Russia. There was a conference at St. Petersburg. There are a number of chief justices and judges from different parts of the world. And some European court judges were taking pride in the fact that in their country they had 1 gender-based violence court. Some said we have 2. So I kept quiet, kept on listening to them, and then finally I told them that you think that Pakistan may be a very underdeveloped country, but we are going to have 116 gender-based violence courts. In every district of the country, we will have 1 court where at least the weaker segment of the society, the women, they can go to that court and freely say what they want to say, uninfluenced by the atmosphere in the normal courts, where there are male judges, there are male lawyers, there are male prosecutors. The whole atmosphere is, they feel uncomfortable in coming out with their allegations. And then they are cross-examined in a way which embarrasses them. So we are going to, inshallah, have 116 gender-based violence courts, which will be judges will be exclusively trained. The atmosphere of the court will be different from the atmosphere that you see in a normal court, so that women and girls, they feel comfortable in such an atmosphere. And similarly, we are going to have child courts in every district of the country. It's not a juvenile involved in a crime, but there are issues about children. Children, how they are treated in the society. There should be some forum or some court where the whole atmosphere of a courtroom is conducive to the well-being of that child involved in the activity. The courtroom we have specially designed. It will not look like a courtroom. It will look like a home where people will be sitting in normal clothes and not in the uniforms and not in the overawing atmosphere, so that the child feels comfortable and he can come up with his problems and a solution is to be found about that. So these are two other courts that we are introducing. Now, another good news. So I said there are, in the justice sector at least, there's some good news. Another good news is that we have entered the 21st century through technology. You must have heard about the e-courts. The Supreme Court of Pakistan has the distinction of being the first Supreme Court in the entire world which has started hearing cases through online technology. Recently, for one full week, courtroom number 1 of the Supreme Court in Islamabad was an e-court, and the lawyers argued their cases at Karachi branch registry, and we heard the arguments at Islamabad, and we decided all the cases, and not even one case was adjourned throughout the week, and all cases were decided. The lawyers are very happy because if they have to travel from Karachi to Lahore, they have to forego their attention to the other cases fixed at Karachi. And the litigants are over the moon. They are so happy because for every one peshi, for one date of hearing, the litigant has to bring his lawyer from Karachi, which can cost a fortune. Business class ticket, stay at Marriott or Serena, and then a car at disposal of such lawyers, then sumptuous meals at night, a good breakfast in the morning, and tomorrow they sit in the court and then the case is adjourned. So once again, the whole expense is to be borne repeatedly by the litigant. So they are over the moon, they're so happy. And the lawyers that appeared, we asked for their feedback, and they also said we're very comfortable and very happy because on a given day they can argue their case in the Supreme Court as well as appear in the district courts and High Court at Karachi. So my first priority for this EEC project was Quetta. I wanted this project to start from Quetta branch registry, but there are some issues of band width and whatever is to be given to such technology, and there are some security issues involved which we are sorting out. And inshallah, in the end of July, we will be starting our e-courts from Quetta as well, inshallah. The second development in technology is that we are going to have a state-of-the-art research center in the Supreme Court of Pakistan. There are 5 or 6 world-renowned search engines in internet technology which search legal cases needed by you, and we have already set up the research center. We have already put in place the infrastructure. One world-famous research engine, LexisNexis, has already been installed. 4 or 5 other engines will be installed very soon. And 3 Supreme Court judges and 7 research assistants are going to the United States of America to study this aspect further, visit their research centers, and to get training. So this shows our level of commitment that we want to do something. We want to improve things. And once this is established, it will be made available to the high courts and then made available to the district courts. Any judge sitting in any part of Pakistan will be able to access that research center, give his query that I want research on this issue, give me the case law, the statutes involved, give me a comparative analysis. What happens in Brazil in such cases? What happens in Nicaragua? What happens in England? So with the click of a button, the research assistants shall provide even to that civil judge sitting in maybe Chishtia will be able to get the world-renowned research or world-acclaimed research will be available at his doorstep on a click of a button. Then the last thing that so far we have done, you will be surprised. We are already into artificial intelligence. पता नहीं आपने सुना है कि नहीं? Artificial intelligence is the latest thing in the world. As far as the legal part is concerned, we have already contacted bodies which deal with artificial intelligence, and we have already held meetings. Artificial intelligence for our use will be that entire case law of Pakistan will be fed in the computers first. The facts of every case, all those billions of cases decided so far, they will be fed into computer. And then every judge, maybe sitting in Darki, will decide a case, but before actually announcing the judgment, he will go to our research center's access to that artificial intelligence, feed the facts of the case that is being decided by him. The computer will give him an answer that if these are the facts, then out of these 70 million cases decided in Pakistan's history, if these were the facts, this would be the decision. So the judge, we're not saying that the computer will give a decision. The computer will give a gist on the basis of all decided cases that if these were the facts, this should be the decision. If the judge is already deciding that way, he will feel reassured. Lines. But if the judge has decided, is minded to decide the other way, then he will be put to caution at least. That maybe in history, if other judges have been deciding this differently, maybe there's something that I'm missing. So he will look at the case again. We are not saying that he will change his decision, but at least he'll be put to caution. And that will be of great help. It will bring consistency, it will bring quality, and there'll be chances of going wrong will be reduced. So these are different things that we are doing, and I wanted to share all this with you so that you know that at least in one sector, that is the justice sector, some good news is coming. Out of all the... So remain hopeful of further good news, and inshallah we'll keep on sharing these news with you. But the best part is that our judges have started delivering. We can have technology, we can have good salaries, we can have good privileges, you can give anything to a judge. But he will start delivering only if he has that passion in him. On the first launching of this model project, I had given an example of a Chief Justice who resigned. And in his resignation letter, he said that 20 years ago I joined the profession as a judge, and judging was a passion with me. But after all these 20 years, it has become a job, so I'm leaving. So this has to be done with a passion. And the Quranic verse with which Shah Sahib started, and we were talking about it before we came here, he started his discourse with that Quranic verse, and I want to end that my discourse with that Quranic verse. Just imagine what Almighty is saying. Almighty has said, "Inna Allaha yuhibbul muqsitin," कि अल्लाह ताला इंसाफ करने वालों से मोहब्बत करता है. God is not saying, I like these people. Just examine the words used by God Almighty. ان اللہ یحب المقسط, محبت کرتا ہے. اگر خالق کائنات جس سب چیز کا مالک ہے, اگر وہ آپ سے محبت کرنا شروع کر دے تو آپ سوچیں آپ کو کبھی کوئی تکلیف آنے دے گا؟ کسی بھی فیلڈ میں, صحت میں, عقل میں, مال و دولت میں, عزت میں, جب آپ کا اتنا بڑا آپ سے محبت کرنے والا ایک موجود ہو. لوگ ہم پڑھ لیتے ہیں قرآن مجید ایک ایک لفظ پہ شاید کبھی غور نہیں کرتے, تو اس پر جب میں غور کرتا ہوں, in the Holy Quran there are 7 different kinds of people that God Almighty says that I love them. وہ 6 کیٹیگریز کیا ہیں وہ آپ کو خود پڑھنا چاہیے. تو ان میں سے ایک کہ انصاف کرنے والوں سے اللہ محبت کرتا ہے. تو یہ محبت آپ پیدا کر سکیں گے جب آپ اپنے پیشن سے فیصلے کرنا شروع کر دیں گے. آپ اس کے نتائج اپنی زندگی پر, اپنی جان میں, اپنی فیملی میں, اپنے ماحول میں خود محسوس کریں گے. اور پھر جب اللہ محبت کرنا شروع کر دے اور اتنا بڑا پروٹیکٹر آپ کو مل جائے تو کسی چیز سے گھبرانے کی ضرورت نہیں رہتی. اور اسی لیے اللہ تعالیٰ نے بارہا قرآن مجید میں فرمایا ہے کہ ایسے جو لوگ ہوں گے ولا خوف علیہم ولا ہم یحزنون, نہ ان کو خوف ہوگا نہ ان کو کوئی غم ہوگا. تو اور کیا چاہیے؟ اٹس سو ایزی اینڈ ویلکم ابورڈ. تھینک یو ویری مچ.
Your Lordship, thank you very much for your ever so inspirational and thought-provoking remarks and for announcing such amazing, unprecedented roadmap for access to expeditious justice. I'm totally excited and I'm really emotional in a way. And this will obviously go a long way in determining the future directions and strengthening the sense of integrity and responsibility amongst the vibrant judicial officers that we have, whom you refer to with great passion as your cheetahs. May Allah Almighty help and guide us all in our efforts. Ameen. At this point, Your Lordship, the Honorable Director General of the Federal Judicial Academy has small... Sir.
I have to say 2 more things.
Sir, please.
Sorry, I forgot to say 2 more things which are very important. آپ کی اجازت ہے؟ It was not just the trial courts that what we are doing, I've told you. We graduated to the High Court. In the High Court, all these thousands of cases being decided by the model courts, we have requested the Honorable Chief Justices to constitute special benches to hear appeals, so that a trial which has concluded in 3 days should not be stuck in appeal for 3 years. So the Honorable Chief Justices have agreed, and special benches are being constituted in the High Courts to hear these model court cases, so that ان کا راستہ تو بالکل کلیئر ہونا صبح ٹاپ تک. ایک بات. دوسری بات, میں نے پہلے اکانومی کی بات کی, تو ہم نے, بیکاز وی ور ٹولڈ دیٹ ہنڈریڈز آف بلینز آف روپیز آر اسٹک ان لٹیگیشن. کوئی ٹیکس میٹرز ہیں, ریونیو میٹرز ہیں, جو بھی پبلک ریونیو کا ایشو ہے, کوئی بینکنگ میٹرز ہیں, بلینز آف روپیز آر اسٹک ان دی جوڈیشل پروسیسز ایٹ ڈفرنٹ اسٹیجز. اس کے لیے ہم نے ہائی کورٹس میں اسپیشل بینچز بنوا دی ہیں, جو انہوں نے آلریڈی کام کرنا شروع کر دیا ہے, جو ریونیو میٹرز, ٹیکس میٹرز اور بینکنگ میٹرز کو صرف ایکسکلوسیولی ان کو ڈیل کر کے جلدی سے جلدی نکال رہی ہے. اور اس سے اوپر گریجویٹ کرے سپریم کورٹ, تو شاید آپ کو اخباروں سے پتہ چل گیا ہو کہ جو 1994 سے اپیلیں کرمنل ہماری پینڈنگ تھی, اس وقت ہم 2019 کی اپیلیں سن رہے ہیں, اور صرف ہمارے پاس تقریباً 100 اپیلیں سارے ملک کی رہ گئی. اور انشاءاللہ within the next few weeks there will be zero pendency in the Supreme Court of Pakistan as far as criminal appeals are concerned. وہ کوئی کہہ بھی رہے تھے کہ وہ کلا پریشان ہے کہ ہم کیا کریں گے, تو جو کرمنل سائڈ پہ اور جج بھی پھر انشاءاللہ وہ زنجیر عدل ہوگی، باہر کوئی آ جائے گا، چلو جی کرمنل اپیل آ گئی ہے، فٹافٹ بیٹھو. So there'll be absolute currency of our accounts کہ پینڈنسی بالکل ختم ہو جائے گی انشاءاللہ. تھینک یو.